I know everyone wants to succeed in life, and success is just not a good thing, but also a promise of God for you and me. God said, "We shall not be the tails but the head." In this, He was telling us His mind about the kingdom citizens, which means if success is a function of its law, then our life purpose also has its guiding principles. And these constitute the 5 basic questions of life. What I'm trying to say here is there are questions that control human race. They motivate you to try the next move with greater hope to succeed or not. They are the sources of all your problems also in the society. They are the sources of corruption in the cities. And it summarizes all that we ever think about in life. These questions must be answered in order of their sequence, because God designed success as a function following its sets of laws. They are fundamental questions, and they include some of these. What is your identity? The first question that you must answer is, who am I? What is my identity? This is a question of our personal identity and who we are. Almost 90% of people are battling with answering the question of who am I, because they neither seem to know themselves nor can explain their identity. Remember, we live in a cosmopolitan society where everybody seems to have an average identity, leading us to identifying ourselves wrongly by imitating the good things we see on other people, such that at the end we build ourselves on wrong identity. We all seem to want an up-to-date identity and something that people can say yeah about, and as a result, we fight with a lot of things about us, e.g., killing to get rich. You want to kill someone so that you can get rich. When you get rich, then you can now get what you want. See? Putting on a weave. You want to put on a weave so that it can appear as if you have very long hair. Tattooing our bodies, bleaching our skins. You are trying to look for an identity which is not your own. You are trying to look for an appearance which is not your own. Putting hot makeups, piercing our nose, or even private parts in some cases, so that we can be appreciated by our peers. At the end, we find that we are not ourselves. Paul wrote to the Corinthians, expressing anything created of God is inherently good, because they are of the Lord. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 26. Anything created of God is inherently good, because they are of the Lord. The entire fashion and design industries are built on the principle of giving fake and imaginative identities to the children of God in the kingdom. The right thing here is you have to remain yourself. Your identity is never found in what you can buy, but in your ability to discover yourself. It's also not your earthly ethnic background, but in the identity of Christ and His likeness. That means you should live a life like Christ. Change your mindset and embrace new background. Identity is very important in nurturing our struggle to keep on course as we live for God. This is because all parts of our body that identifies us works together to ensure that we live for God and possess a solid identity. They work best in their original nature created by the Maker. Think about a woman who lost her marriage because she changed her skin color after marriage using makeup and chemicals because the man claimed his wife is not what he previously married. She acquired a new identity later which the man doesn't like. Every element of our personal identity has a divine purpose in ensuring that we hit the purpose of our life, and we lose favor from God every time we tamper with our identity. Each element has its own irreplaceable potential in building us to fulfill the Creator's target and will. The more we tamper with the originality of our identity, the more we lose such potential. When we fail to discover our identity, we fail to know who is responsible for us and where we can run to. We become fatherless and God becomes an imposter in our lives. Let me give you some of the few characteristics of people without identity. You have them there in your communities. Number 1, people without confidence in life. Number 2, people who change their outlook. Number 3, vagabonds in faith. That's to say, they run from one faith to another. Number 4, people after jobs but not work or fulfillment with God. Not this point. All these people are still looking for identity. That's why they are never even comfortable with their self-made identity. Then the second question which you must answer is, where am I from? Or the question of your source. The question of where I'm from is your next question to answer after knowing who you are. The who you are will help you to know where you are from and the prophecies around your life when you were still a young person. When you were born with the identities you possess, it was a confirmation that you were finished to start the planned work of God. As human beings, we all came from one ancestral background where we have mother, father, and grandparents. Tracing our identities to our parents and grandparents is an ethnic approach to understanding our source. It is our source that tends to write our outlook, and so we got to be careful on what we take that for. It doesn't work for us in the kingdom of God because our liberator and the king has fully assimilated us into the kingdom. Our pristinely sources were not our choices, or our original sources were not our choices, but it made us heir to the sinful nature. That's why we need to disconnect ourselves from our sources using the redeeming blood of the Lamb of God. Our skin colors, language spoken, local food eaten, accent, body figure, and who gave birth to us were perfect will of God. Since we never heard a say about it, we never heard any say about it, so they were perfect. If you are black, it is perfect. If you have a local accent, perfect. If you eat local food, perfect. The way your body figure appears, it is perfect because it was within the will of God. As a Christian, it is no longer meaningful to identify yourself with the old tradition of sin in the previous kingdom where we were before we were washed away by the blood of the Lamb. It is also very important to note that the blood of the Lamb never came to wash away our body color or disfigure us or to remove that which God created us to be with, but to give us a new identity of the people fully assimilated into His country as permanent citizens and heirs without sin. If I say His country, I mean His abode, His kingdom. We were assimilated into His kingdom as permanent citizens, as the heirs without sin. Now, when we receive Jesus in our lives and believe in Him, no president of the earthly country can claim over us and national boundaries between us and any other person in the world fade. For instance, through Christ, the behavior and lifestyle of an African and a European man by descent becomes the same, knowing they all imitate one man and walk in His ways. Then the third question, why am I here? This is the question of the purpose. The question of purpose is additionally tied to the above two. 95% of people in life are looking, or there are people who do not know who they are and where they are from. When you are from somewhere, it means you are going somewhere, and so you need to know you are there for a purpose. If you don't know why you are there, then you definitely don't know what to do there. Most of us are where we are, but we don't know what to do where we are. And that's the reason why nothing is good about what we do. We try things and end up doing a good thing in a wrong place. When we fail to discover why we are where we are, we lose peace in life. Check on Job, chapter 17, verse 11. I said my days are past, and my purposes are broken off. Even the thoughts of my life. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 says, in everything there is a season and time, to every purpose under the heaven. Job and Solomon were implying that time is another factor to consider if our purposes are to be fulfilled. And when it's time passed, we can never achieve. In other words, I'm trying to say, there is time to do whatever should be done. If at a particular time something must be done and it has not been done, that's already a problem. So there are reasons why all these things happen. It is true everybody wants to be successful, but we forget both success and failures are predictable because God designed laws that controls them. He puts that which we should do and what not to do, and what we do connect to what we get. We become products of ability to follow these laws. Why I'm here in the hierarchy for achieving personal fulfillment is a level where a decision is already made to act in the desired direction. Here, God gives us a working spirit, but not a decision-making spirit. Our purpose gets established in the course of our life, and it therefore needs mentorship and counsel. It needs feeding. Proverbs 15, verse 22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in multitudes of counselors, they are established. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 18. Every purpose is established by counsel. Look at that. Another question. What can I do? This is a question of your potential. What can I do where I am right now? So you know what to do where you are. Now, what can I do where I am? This is a question of your potential. What is your potential in doing that thing? Our potentials are buried in our purposes because what we are capable of doing is our gift and ability. In the kingdom of God, we are all products made to fulfill the intended purpose, and we have all the potential to fulfill them. We are alive and working because we are the finished work of God's creation. And God Himself, being the manufacturer, is confident in our abilities to serve what we are meant for. There is no manufacturer who manufactures a product and sends it out in the market before testing and confirming its capabilities. Many of us uses not even 10% of the total functions in our phone. We underexploit them because we have not learned about. When God created us and thought we were ready for the work, He put an image that carries His name and identity on us as a sign that He is contented with our creation and ability. Manufacturers also put their image and logo on their finished work because they are confident that their products are worth keeping their names and reputations in the market. In the book of Genesis, when God finished creating man, He said, "Let's put our image on them so that they can be like us." God trusted our abilities, and so we should stop despising ourselves. God is committed to complete the work that He started in our lives because our purposes are His projects. Every project writer knows the weakness to tolerate in his project, and that is why we have the grace of God. Secondly, our purpose is found on what God spoke about us when we were still young or before we were born. In the country of God, no one exists or lives unless he is willing to start as a child and grows in the kingdom lifestyle. We need to reflect what God spoke about us. God spoke to Isaiah and said, "I'm the God who tells the end from the beginning." Isaiah chapter 46 verse 10. God spoke to Joseph about his end when he was still a young boy. This is another example. When he was still a young boy, and he confirmed his end as a governor. We remember this story in the dream of in the dream of Joseph. He was lucky that his father Abraham never killed that dream by saying, "You cannot be a governor and feed your brothers, including me, your father." The second example to quote is in the story of Jeremiah. God told Jeremiah, "I have known you from the beginning and before you were put in your mother's womb, and I ordained you a prophet." Considering this context, Satan fights the right things by doing well in disguise. When Satan hears the voice of God about us, when we were still young, Satan takes us to school and gives us a paying job, a job that gives us fleshly fulfillment and deprived us of the real purposes of our life. This is the reason why many of us are highly employed but never comfortable with what we do amidst all the achievement we've made. We hate Monday mornings and working days. By the time we work for years, the lie about our career becomes true by practice and training. There's a great difference between job and work. Job is what we do to earn living. We call it employment. In this case, we do anything that can keep us alive and kicking. And we keep on changing as long as we are being fired by our bosses. But work is our original purpose in life, and we can never be fired by anybody on earth from it. That's why God said, when He starts to work in your life, no one can stop it. When He blesses you, it's permanent. Education is good, but it cannot measure the capability of a man. Remember this. Education is good, but it cannot measure the capability that you possess. Education cannot plant a seed in you. God created man with extraordinary potential. That is why educated people are not the only successful people in life. Bill Gates is among the most successful men on the planet, as we believe, but he didn't complete all his studies. In Ecclesiastes, God confirmed these words about this, where He said, "I do not give rain only for the rich or the poor, free or slaves, but to everybody I have created." You are the way you are because you have not read God's manual that speaks about you. God put you in a manual outlining all your potential. The fact that you do not know what is in this doesn't mean nothing is written in the manual of your life. No one will also know your potentials in life because you cannot show it, and that's why you are the black sheep in your family. You got to read that manual again and again. Then you will prove your net worth and why God put His image on you as a product. God released you in the kingdom with all the solutions to life problems. We were born to find our purpose in life. We wrongly decide how much of our potential to use because we don't have full knowledge of our potential. The race to look for our identity is a misleading race because we have them already in us. What I'm trying to say, we have our identity, we have our potential, and the rest of the thing in us. Now, if you are looking for it somewhere outside you, then it is a misleading race. Another question, where am I going? This is the question of your destiny. Purpose is the key to our destiny. It is the end that starts the beginning. It is the finish before the start. It is the destination before the journey, and it's the final address to your life. When we discover our purpose, or when you discover your purpose in life, you also discover your destiny because your destiny is trapped at the end of your fulfillment with God. With God, your purpose was there before you were born. Just like every product is having a purpose, just like a manufacturer established a purpose before manufacturing a product, is what God did before He made you. Purpose is more important to fulfill, and God created us as a product to fulfill those purposes, which already means we were born with responsibilities that He will hold us accountable for at the end. He finished you, equipped you before you were born because He knew there is something for you to start. Our destinies are interfered as children at our childhood. Our dreams are killed by the people who knows nothing about us. That even includes your mother and your father. It's true, they do not know about us because we have not shown them our manufacturer's manual, just like we have not read them and do not know ourselves. The other people killing our dreams are failures telling us to do what they have done. We can never reach our destiny unless we accept to pay the bus fare, the bus that leads to our destiny. Our destiny is fully established from the beginning by God, but it's not a guarantee that we shall reach. This is because we have to decide on our own to eat the meat on the table. Human beings are born to have free will, and God respects that. Many of us think we have reached our destiny when we succeed to do evil and get personal fulfillment. That's very wrong. We know it deep in our heart.